All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh here tonight taking your phone calls. 412-575-0 is the number. If you need a roof, make sure you call Ireland Contracting. 1-800-NEW-ROOF is the number. They're #1 in Pittsburgh. They're the best in the business. And they don't not only do roofs, they do gutters, they do siding, they do windows, they do anything you need. Call 1-800-NEW-ROOF for any help that you need on your home, exterior, interior. Ireland Contracting can help. Give us a call right now on the Borders and Borders hotline, 412-575-2600. So we have Darren Hall, 209 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, 2:40 left. Pitt up 23-13, has the ball, looking to run the clock out right now. Let's go out to Ricky in Mount Washington. What's up, Ricky?
Hey, thanks for taking the call.
No problem.
I'm not real big on conspiracies.
Yep.
But how about the Steelers and Le'Veon Bell are in bed together? Like, you know how he usually gets hurt? He's prone to get hurt, so they're trying to save him for the playoff rush.
Well, what advantage would that serve the Steelers? I mean, saving them, I get, but why would Le'Veon Bell agree to that and give up $8 million?
Maybe he's not.
Well, I mean, he's not getting paid for these weeks that he's sitting out.
Maybe he's not.
Well, yeah, I don't believe in it at all, not one bit. You could tell that he's upset about it. The Steelers are clearly frustrated. I've been over in Steelers headquarters, over there dealing with these. I travel with this team. I'm on their buses. I'm at the stadiums. They are clearly frustrated that he is not here right now. But you know what? They've moved on, so there's no conspiracy. I can really put that to bed right now. There's nothing going on. They wanted him here. They wanted him here after the first week, after the second week. And then now they realize they have a pretty good running back in James Conner, and now they don't need him. And, you know, a return of Le'Veon Bell could only hurt him for next year. It could definitely help the Steelers in the long run, having a 1-2 punch like Conner and Bell, but right now it could only hurt Bell. That's why my prediction is he doesn't show up at all. That would be my guess. There's no benefit for him showing up at all right now. It would make zero sense. He could risk injury. He'd give up a lot of money. So I would think if you're a Steelers fan, you should think that way. People out there, they should be not counting on Le'Veon Bell just showing up this year. Going into free agency, I don't know if the Steelers will put a transition tag on him. They will not put a franchise tag on him, but a transition tag is different. Another team can match what they offer, and that would be based up to $12 million last year if he makes zero money this year. So it would be roughly the same amount of money that he would be making this year would be the transition tag for Le'Veon Bell. Let's go back out to the phone lines. We're going to go out to Pete out in Beachview. What's up, Pete?
Hey, Rich. How's it going, man?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Hey, first of all, the conspiracy theory call is a little ridiculous.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I think the key for the Steelers is kind of staying put. You know, making moves at the deadline is a splashy thing to talk about. If they would go out and maybe sign a free agent pass rusher like Michael Sam, your ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, I knew he was going somewhere with that call. But, you know, I appreciate sometimes, you know, I appreciate the good prank call, but that really wasn't. I mean, that wasn't a good one. You could come better with that, Pete, or whatever your name was. All right, let's go out to Calvin out in Clearfield. What's up, Calvin? What's going on?
Hi, Rick. How you doing?
Good, thanks for calling, Calvin.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great, man.
Okay. Question about this week's game between Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Now, if you're Mike Tomlin and Keith Butler, would you change anything up on defense for this coming weekend? Or would you keep the same game plan or switch some people around?
Would I keep the same game plan from last week?
No.
For the last game against Baltimore?
Yeah, would you go with anything different?
No. I mean, obviously they're going to change some things. I mean, Baltimore's a little bit different. I talked to some of these guys today, like Cody Sensabaugh, Artie Burns, Joe Hayden. They all expect Baltimore to be a little bit different than the last time they saw him. You know, I think Joe Hayden's a lot better. He's going to take out their top receiving threat. And then you have, depending on who's going to start and who's going to play, I expect a rotation between Cody Sensabaugh and Artie Burns over there on the other side.
One other thing I wanted to ask you, has the point spread been put out there yet, and who are they favoring? Who are they picking, the Pittsburgh Steelers or Baltimore Ravens this coming weekend? And what's the point spread?
You know what? I don't even know what the point spread is, to be honest with you. I haven't even looked at it this week. I usually look at it on the weekend, but I would imagine Baltimore's favored. But, yeah, I'm sorry, I haven't even looked at it. I think the Steelers are going to win this game. That's my opinion. I think it'll be a close game, relatively close, maybe not as close in the final score, but I think it's going to be close throughout the game. Something like last time, but I think the Steelers will be on the winning end. They know. I think everyone in that locker room knows how important this game is for the division. You know, if the Steelers lose this game, all of a sudden it's a three-team race again in the division. But if they win this game, now the Steelers have a significant lead in the division. And I think they realize this is pretty much, and a lot of guys have said it, this is kind of a must-win for the Steelers right now. You know, not a must-win to make the playoffs, but a must-win to, you know, keep a lead in that division. I appreciate the call, Calvin. Thanks a lot. Let's go out to Fred in Johnstown. How you doing, Fred?
Hey, Richie. I'm a Penn State fan. I was watching the Pitt game tonight, and I saw that a kid with the last name of Zeiss made a sack late in the game. Didn't know it was Paul Zeiss's kid. Just wanted to, you know, that has to be a proud moment for him, and the Panthers are rolling tonight.
Yeah, Elijah Zeiss, he is Paul's son. He would normally be here on a Friday with me, but he's watching the game in Virginia, watching his son. Yeah, you know, Elijah is having a pretty good season so far this year, has an opportunity now with the injury to Virginis, and, you know, I mean, he made a couple big plays. Almost had an interception early in the game if you watch that. But, yeah, that's where Paul is tonight. But I will pass along the kind words. Thanks a lot. Let's go out to Bob out in the slopes. What's up, Bob? Bob,
Hi,
you there?
Rich.
What's up, buddy?
Yeah, Rich?
Yeah. What's going on? Hey.
Yeah, I was watching the Pitt game tonight.
Yeah.
And the number 16 Mathis at the end of the game made the fourth down stop on the pass.
Yeah, and then got that what's the unsportsmanlike conduct call I just saw.
Yeah, but he was mocking like he was shooting the Virginia players.
Yeah, you know what?
I mean, what happened last week. I think he should be disciplined, thrown off the team or something after what happened last week.
You know what? I don't think he's going to get thrown off the team, but I think he should be disciplined. I would not be surprised if he is disciplined or something happens. Yeah, that's kind of uncalled for in this day and age.
Since all the teams are making, you know, a big deal of what happened, and
it's just not a good gesture to make out there. He was called for unsportsmanlike conduct, taunting, I think it was, and you know,
that was before that, though. They got through the flag even before you did that. But
Bob, definitely in poor taste. Thanks for pointing that out. I'm sure something will happen. I'll keep an eye on it this week. Maybe someone will even ask the question in the post game, and we'll find out at some point. All right, let's go back out to the phone lines before we go to break. We're going out to Brad in Punxsutawney. What's up, Brad?
Hey, Rich, how you doing?
Good, thanks for calling. My college roommate is from Punxsutawney.
Your college roommate was from Punxsutawney?
Yeah.
Who was that?
Scott Curry. I don't know if you know him. He went to
Scott Curry. I coached him in basketball.
Okay.
I kid you not.
Yeah,
he played 7th grade basketball for me.
That was my college roommate. We ran track together at Pitt.
What a small world.
I know.
Hey, I am a season ticket holder for the Panthers. I made the trip out to Notre Dame, try to catch them as much as I can. And even though last week was a little bit of a hiccup defensively against Duke, tonight they made some big plays. They made some sacks when they had to. And the defense isn't where it should be, but at least it's taken some steps forward at the right time. And hopefully with the games they have left down the stretch, you know, at least they can play themselves into a potential bowl game.
Yeah, they could, and they really have a shot to win the Coastal now. I mean, they lost to the worst team in the ACC, North Carolina. But, you know, if they win these 3 games, and maybe if they only win 2 of the next 3, they can still potentially win this Coastal Division. And that's surprising after the start that they had. But it seems like they found some kind of rhythm. Defensively, they're not great, but they're coming together. I think Virginis was a huge loss. Offensively, they're not great either. They have no passing attack. I don't think anyone is scared of Kenny Pickett throwing the ball back there, but no one seems to stop this running attack, and that offensive line has been winning battles, you know, last game and this game. And, you know, with Olesen and Darren Hall, it's going to be – they're a tough team right now because they just, you know, they just extend drives. They eat up a lot of clock, and that's how you can beat these really good teams. And teams like tonight, like Virginia, that have a pretty good offense. You're keeping them off the field.
That's a great point. I mean, Virginia knew they were going to run the ball tonight.
Yeah.
And they'd either ISO with Aston or even when he's playing at tight end, he's sealing the edge, and they were you knew we were running the ball, and they still couldn't stop us.
Yeah, I haven't seen much Wildcat tonight. I don't know how many times, if they did run it. I was busy trying to pay attention to high school football, watch the game, and put together my sportscast. But it was on the whole time, and I didn't see much Wildcat. I would like to see more. I really like when Pitt runs the Wildcat, or if you want to call it the Wild Panther, or whatever you want to do it. I think that throws teams off. They should have done that more in Notre Dame. Instead of passing on that third down, that was a horrible call right there. That was a horrible. Kenny Pickett. They should have just called a play for Kenny Pickett instead of giving him an option because he picked the wrong option. But if you're gonna go for it on fourth down on your own 10-yard line, you would think if you ran the Wildcat twice, you'd be able to pick up 3 yards, and then you might win that game in Notre Dame. You can always go back to each game and figure something out, like, hey, maybe if they would have done this, maybe if they would have done that. But maybe they can learn from things like that, and that's why I think they're progressively becoming a better team right now. And I'm looking forward to these next 3 games and see if they can really put together something here, because I questioned tonight. I didn't know if they could win this game, but now they've proven that they could go on the road and beat a ranked team. This is good for this team right now. Gives them a little confidence heading into Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, and then Miami. 3 games that they could win, but 3 games that they could lose too. Thanks a lot for your call, Brad. I appreciate you watching up in Punxsutawney. All right, we got to take a break. Back with more of your phone calls, some of your tweets coming up next. Stay right there.